My name is Xavier.
And I'm Greg, and welcome to the first episode of
Who's the kid?
Who's the Kid? We're a show that we're going to broadcast hopefully on YouTube. And what we're looking at doing is discussing and maybe playing some games that are family level type games and ones that are at different lengths of time depending on people's tastes and time frames that they have to have some fun. We're also going to look at maybe reviewing some movies and games we're looking at will be board games, card games, and maybe even video games too. So what's the first game that we have for today, Xavier?
This is Forbidden Island.
For,
First game of the episode.
Forbidden Island. That's right. It's a fun family game that we like to play. It's available at most big box stores as well as your local game stores. It's relatively inexpensive and it has a relatively short playtime, usually between 20 minutes to 40 minutes, and which is nice that for keeping people's attention spans as well as being interactive. We can also play this game with as few as 2 players and as many as, how many can it go?
4.
And as many as 4. And it does say 10 and up, but we started playing this game with you, Xavier, when you were what, 6, I think?
8. I
8.
actually think.
Okay, so at 8 years old, he didn't have any problem learning the game and actually probably teaching it to us. It's can be very fast paced. It's a tile game, and in that way, it's kind of cool that we're able to place tiles and the object of the game is to collect treasures, and we need to do that before the island sinks into the abyss. So as we're playing this game, parts of the island will sink. Our object is to keep ourselves and the key areas afloat, and for us to be able to get the treasures and escape the island. So maybe Xavier, you can pull out some of the cards to show what sort of characters we are, and we can discuss that with our audience.
Okay. You might not be currently able to see it perfectly, but as you guys can see, it's made up of multiple squares in a 4x4 grid with 2 squares in the middle of each side. In which that's the way how you know how to set it up. I'm going to bring out some of the cards here to show you guys what we actually have in the store. First off, let's look at the components. It comes with an instruction manual.
Now this instruction manual is great. It tells you about the cards. It also gives you the actual layout that Xavier just drew on the tabletop for you, so you have the idea of how that lays out. It discusses each of the types of treasures, the order of play, the actions, the treasure decks, and the dreaded water rise.
It also comes with some advertisements for Forbidden Desert, a game that we'll reveal in our episode, and Forbidden Island, which is not actually available on the iPad. Go download it. Some stuff from GameRight.
And GameRight has a lot of great games that are fast-paced, great for all ages as well.
Water meter with counter.
So the water meter is looking at the level of water, which is let me right over here, so that we see how that affects the level of play, and it also affects the number of cards that get drawn that count against you. So it's a bad thing when the water rises.
Character pawn and matching card.
So the character pawns match the color of the actual player cards. In this case, the messenger, and the messenger has a pawn that is gray. And we'll bring that a little bit closer. You can kind of see what it looks like. And over to the back of it where you can see that it tells you a bit about what your actions you're able to do. In the case of the messenger, we look at gives treasure cards to a player anywhere on the island for one action.
Treasure cards and water cards.
So treasure cards is a variety of physical treasures. And you pull out the matching treasure for that, Xavier, that we can see it.
And matching treasure pawn to go with each card.
So we need to get a certain number of treasure cards as we go through our play and through each of our turns.
I think it's like 4.
It's 4 for some characters, 5 for others. So depending which character you are, will depend on whether or not you have the right number of treasures. You can share treasures when you land on the same space.
Puppy, the 4-bit is pandemic. We're not doing that right now, so it just takes 4 cards.
I think the diver. Check the diver. So while Xavier is looking at that, here's an example of one of the cards for one of the tiles. So this card will match a tile. When these cards are revealed, we'll notice this one in fact has a treasure attached to it. This is a place where you would go to pick up that treasure. And also, we would look at something like this, and if it was drawn, we'd have to turn that over so that it was underwater.
Matching above water and underwater double-sided tiles to go with the cards.
That's right. So you see the colored side is the side for when it is above water. If that card is drawn, it's turned over to reveal that it is underwater.
No. It's missing one more, just a flooded and or missing tile for one action.
I'm thinking of a different character.
The scientist in Pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Go check it out.
Yeah, we'll do Pandemic at another time. That's a pretty cool game.
Yeah,
too.
episode.
We'll find out when we get there.
We'll find out.
So there are multiple treasures that you need to be able to get. You can do this it's a collaborative game, so we have to work together to win. And that's the type of game that we really enjoy playing. There's some more of the treasures.
I'm going to show you guys.
So as I'm talking, Xavier will show out some more of the treasures you'll be collecting. Again, we work together to try to collect them. That's the Pegasus.
The chalice that looks like, on the bottom looks like it's an octopus, sort of.
Nice.
Fire crystal.
Beautiful.
Moon rock.
Cool.
Go check them out.
They're very cool. So these are good, solid, well-designed materials for collecting. The pieces for your character are wood. So they're wood. In this case, are wood, and they're quite sturdy. And it comes in, as Xavier showed you at the beginning, a metal playing case, which is compartmentalized, which is easy for travel or for storage. So it's a quick cleanup, quick put out game. What do you like about the game, Xavier?
I think what I like about the game is that you're not just playing on one single map. Like you can change up the map. It's like unique almost every single time you play it.
I agree. Yeah. That's something that I really enjoy about it is that the board's always changing. Because you're doing it's a card and tile game. There's a randomness to it, and the idea of again, Xavier and I can sit down and play it. We could bring in the whole family and have 4 people play it. It's so we can. It all depends on how many people you got available. You got a little bit of time. You want to play a game, have some fun, and it can get a little intense, especially when we're looking at. On the water here, when that little needle here starts creeping up towards that skull and crossbones at the top, it gets pretty scary and intense as parts of the island disappear and are no longer available to get onto. There are cards that will help you to helicopter from place to place, and then there's a final pad in which everybody has to get together on to fly off. And so there's a strategy component of collecting the tile cards to be able to find to be in the right place for the right treasure, and it's also a bit of a challenge to be able to just get everything done in a quick period of time before everything sinks. I'm going to just adjust our background screen here. There we go. So overall, I'd say it's a great game for young kids as well as young adults. And that concludes our first episode of Who's the Kid for this game component. Oh, wait, there may be more.
Okay. So here's some. Welcome to Extras. Got my crush here. Hashtag not sponsored.
Okay, so for Extras, were we also going to look at doing a movie review today? Or are we going to save that for another day?
The movie review is the next bit that we're going to do.
Okay, so do we want to...
I'm just going to give off some facts about the game. If you reach the skull and crossbones on the water bit, you lose.
True.
If both of the bits of a specific, both kinds of a treasure, if both tiles for a specific treasure sink, we lose. If the Fool's Landing tile, that's the end tile, sinks, we lose.
Well, not if it just sinks, because we can bring it back. But if it sinks and disappears, then you're hooped. And same thing for any of the treasure ones. Any of them can sink, so any of the tiles can go from above water to below water. But if they have the symbol on it that matches like this one for this symbol, and we are looking at that treasure, once that tile is gone, both of them are gone, then you're no longer able to collect that tile, and you lose. You can't, because you can't bring them back. They can sink, you can refloat them, but if they sink and then disappear, which typically happens when the water rises, the tiles that have already been removed, their cards go back into the top of the pile and are brought back up. So if it's sunk and then disappears, game over. The hope is to get all the treasures and fly away before everything sinks. So you can be down to very few tiles and you can still win.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how you got to work together. And that is a really cool part to this game. It is a collaborative learning game where you're playing it. It's fun. Everybody has to talk to each other, show what we have in our hands. We're not hiding anything from each other. The whole goal is everyone wins or everyone loses. And that concludes our show for today. And if we have a video one, we'll have that maybe in our next clip. Thank you for joining us and our first episode of
Who's the Kid?
Who's the Kid? Here on YouTube.